What's going on? It's William with Man Meets Money, and in today's episode, we're gonna get into which of these glorified piggy banks is best for you to consider saving your money with. Now, one of the main key points that I'm absolutely gonna hammer in this video is gonna be APY, which means annual percentage yield, and why it's so important. The reason APY is so important because that's basically going to be the percentage that the bank is using to calculate how much money they're going to pay you for saving with them. And that's a big deal. Now, in terms of big banks today, an APY that you want to be looking for is going to be 3% or higher. And in my very educated opinion, I'm going to have to say higher than 3% should be everybody's goal when they're considering a savings account. Now, one main detail about APY that I want to point out to you is that every bank's APY does not compound the same way. And that's basically saying that the rate of interest does not accrue the same way, ultimately meaning that you don't get paid the same way. Now, some banks have APY that compound daily, compound monthly, compound quarterly, or even compound annually. A bank with an APY that compounds daily is definitely going to be a bank that you want to go with if their annual percentage yield is high enough. In so many words, a bank with an APY that compounds over a shorter period of time is going to mean more money in your pocket when the smoke settles. And to put that in even simpler terms, an APY that compounds daily makes more money than an APY that compounds annually. Now, there are a stream of banks that offer APYs significantly higher than the APYs that I'm going to mention in this video, but I want to go with these banks because these are going to be banks that you've already heard of. And if you're new to high yield savings accounts, it's better to start with a place that you're comfortable than a place you've never heard of before. And if you want me to cover these off-brand banks, as I like to call them, or banks that are less popular in the more common banking community, I can definitely do a video of them in the future. Just let me know in the comment section below. So our APY benchmark is going to be above 3%. Anything above 3% gets a thumbs up from me and an absolute stamp of approval. The banks that I'm going to be mentioning offer high yield savings accounts that are fee-free. And don't play with me, we all like free. So the first bank that I'm going to mention is going to be American Express. Interestingly enough, American Express actually got #1 through J.D. Power in 2022 for customer satisfaction, which is also a big deal to consider when you're talking about putting your money in the bank. Now, American Express has a high yield savings account that's offering 3.3%. 3.3% is great, especially with a reputable bank like American Express. And one of the dope things I like about American Express, and I'll go ahead and put that on the screen right here, is if you go to American Express's website, tap the menu icon, tap banking, tap HYSA for high yield savings account. When the page reloads, if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll actually have a savings calculator that you can use to plug in numbers and play around with numbers. And that way you can get a good idea of how much money your money is going to make over said period of time that you can control in the calculator. And we talked about it earlier about how fast the APY, the interest from the APY compounds. If you look at the bottom, you'll see that it says compounds daily, which is absolute money in the bank. And the next bank on the list is Capital One. Currently, Capital One is offering a high yield performance savings account that's offering 3.4%. And that's right, people. As I mentioned earlier in the video, no fees whatsoever. So while your money's making money, you don't have to worry about paying any money, defeating the purpose. Now, one difference between Capital One's high yield savings account and American Express's high yield savings account is that Capital One, while it offers a higher annual percentage yield, it compounds monthly and not daily. And remember that we discussed earlier that an annual percentage yield that compounds over a shorter period of time is going to mean more money. And the third bank on the list is a bank that's been gaining a bunch of traction over the past few years, and that's SoFi. Now, SoFi is boasting huge annual percentage yields up to 3.75%. And I'm going to say it again for the third time, fee-free, my friend. Fee-free. 3.75% is an amazing APY with any bank. Now, one similarity between Capital One and SoFi is that both of their high yield savings accounts are going to compound on a monthly basis. So if you're going to be choosing between Capital One and SoFi, SoFi is definitely going to make you more money, again with that 3.4 at Capital One with the 3.75 at SoFi. And if you stuck along this far in the video, I'm gonna go ahead and throw out a gold nugget per usual. Now, the reason that high yield savings accounts are such a big deal is because most of these high yield savings accounts that are being offered by banks these days are actually making more interest than CDs. Now, the reason that's so important is because CDs lock your money in. Once you open up a CD, you're locked into a fixed term and you actually have to pay a penalty to get your money back. With the high yield savings account, you're making nearly just as much money on the annual percentage yield. There's no fee and there's no penalty if you ever need to get your money in a pinch. And that's a big deal, because we're all about saving money, making our money make money, and not having to pay any fees or additional unnecessary costs. In the meantime, free is always best. And in conclusion, if you found this video helpful, please consider sharing it with a friend. Please consider liking and subscribing. Would love to have you in attendance with future videos. It's been another episode of Man Meets Money. I'm William. Love y'all. See you real soon.